Welcome to our video on proportional reasoning, right? And in here, what we're looking for is to identify the situation in this question that is proportional. And let's just look at this question and the next one. I think it'll become a little bit clearer what I mean by proportional, or as they wrote here, proportionality. That's actually a pretty important word, and it's thrown around all the time in the media. It's important to understand what they're talking about, and this is really where we start that kind of understanding. So it's pretty exciting. All right. Anyway, so Sonia, Darren, and Abby were on different sports teams last season. The number of wins for each team is listed below. Sonia's soccer team won 4 out of 5 games. Darren's basketball team won 12 out of 20 games, and Abby's baseball team won 20 out of 25 games. Which teams won the same proportion of their games? So for example, if Team A, right, won 1 out of 2 games and Team B won 2 out of 4, you'd say, oh, they both won half of their games. That's proportional, right? 2 equal fractions. So all they're asking you here is which team had an equal fraction. We have Sonia with 4 out of 5, and Darren with 12 out of 20, and Abby with 20 out of 25. Okay, what do we do? Well, let's look at this. We have 5. I'll start with Sonia just because the numbers in the fraction are the smallest. 4/5, even though it's the largest, well, not the largest fraction, 2 of these are equal, but the numbers are the smallest. So their factors, they'll go into these numbers. So how many times does 4 go into 12? Well, 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, great. Is 5 times 3 20? No, 5 times 3 equals what? Equals 15. So these are not proportional. However, let's change colors here. 5 times 5 equals 25, right? For Sonia and Abby. And 4 times 5 is 20. So Sonia and Abby's games are definitely proportional. Sonia and Darren's are not. What about Darren and Abby's? Well, let's look at that. 12 times what is 20? Well, 12 times 1 is 12, and there's 8 out of 12 left over, which is what? If I reduce that, see, I get 8 out of 12. That's 4 out of 6, which is 2 out of 3. So 12 times 1. All I'm doing is figure out the number to multiply here. You can just take 20 divided by 12. 12 times 1 and 1.6 repeating is 20. Well, and you can see that here, 20 goes into 25 once, so 20 times 1, and then 5 out of 20, which is really just 1/4. So 20 times 1.25 equals 25. So we're multiplying these two numbers by different numbers to get Abby's wins and her total score. So that you would say is not proportional. Just like with our original example, 1/2, both those numbers times 2 gives us 2 and 4. So it's proportional. And that's how we could test it. So in this example, the only 2 fractions that were proportional were Sonia's and Abby's, and their games are proportional. Let's look at one more example. The ratio of the number of bananas, and when they give us problems like this, I always try and write in what the subject of the problem is, which happens to be bananas. Okay, so the number of bananas to the number of apples. I love apples. Okay, sorry about that. The number of bananas and number of apples are fruit. Wait, the number of bananas to the number of apples at a fruit stand is 3 to 5. So for every 3 bananas, I have 5 apples. Mo says that the ratio is equivalent to 12 over 12 to 25. Use the space below in words, numbers, and symbols to show why Mo's statement is incorrect. Oh, so they tell us, yeah, this is not right. You could say, well, if I take 5 and multiply it by 5, I get 25. But 3 times 5 is 15, right? So in other words, it's not proportional. You could say it's not proportional. Or you could say, well, if I have 5 apples for every 3, if you had 12 apples, if you had 12 bananas, sorry, that's why I write this down. If you had 12 bananas, then you should have how many apples? Well, every 3 bananas has 5 apples. So if you have 12 bananas, that's 4 groups of 3, you should have 20 apples, not 25. So you can say that as well. And there are many other ways to talk about it. You could say, well, how do you get from 3 to 5? Well, that should be the same as what do you multiply 12 by to get 25, and it's not. So there are many ways to look at how this is not proportional. You could also say, well, if I had 25 apples, how many bananas should I have? Right? You could say, well, I should have 15 bananas, because if I have 5 groups of 25, 5 groups of apples, which gives us 25 apples, and each group has 3 bananas, there should be 15 bananas, right? 5 times 3. But we don't have that. So you can just write about that and these types of questions and explain why you think, right, it's not correct. And then look at this trick right here. Be sure to provide a ratio equivalent to 3 to 5 in your answer. Well, I would just double my ratio. Instead of 3 to 5, I would say, well, what about 6 to 10? Right? Or you could double that. What about 12, right, to 20? Or you can keep going, 24 to 40. You just double these, and they really all reduce down to 3 to 5. All right, I hope that helped.